love a geschmack Parsha coincidence. Parshas Emor talks about Sfiras Emor. No such thing as a coincidence. Baruch Hashem, we have Ashkacha Pratis, that this pasuk talks about the Korban Emor, talks about counting the Emor. The Chazal tell us that the Korban Emor is barley. It's animal food, it's fodder, it's a lower level of nutrition. And we count Sfiras Emor 7 weeks, Ad V'lo Ad Bechlal, 49 days, we get the Shvuos, and we bring a Korban of soiles of fine flour, of human food, chashuv, human food. And this time in between are those stages, those levels, those layers that lead us up to becoming a human being. So the question that behooves us is, what is the difference between a human and an animal? And how do we get, what's the key of becoming a human from an animal? What is Sfira about? What's our goal? What's our agenda? Rav Shimshon Pinkus, he gives this very Kabbalistic shir about the Tefillin Rabbeinu Tam and why the order of the Parshas changes to Shem Hashem. But Rabbeinu Tam switches the last two Parshas from V'Hayikiviacha and Kadesh Li. He switches it around. And he says that switches the Shemos of Hashem. Instead of a Yud K and a Vav K, it's a Yud K and then a K Vav. So what's the difference? He said Vav is the building process, the planning process, where you design the idea of a home. Before you have a house, you have to have the blueprints. You can't have a house before blueprints. So the Vav is the blueprints, the planning, and then the Hey is the house. It's kind of built like a house, right? Okay, Rabbeinu Tam has a Hey first and then the Vav. What's Pshat? How do you have the house before the blueprints? The Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin is a Tefillin of Ekfras of the Mashiach. We're already tasting the Haba in this world. We have a koyach in this tkufa, in these years of Ekfas of the Mashiach, where we can build a house and then figure out the planning afterwards. We can have an explosion of Kedusha. Sometimes someone will just have a Shemana Esrei and he's like, you know what, that wasn't me. I never daven like that. But we have the power to jump into that world and then figure out how to live by that. We have the power to explode, and that is the power of a human being. Lag BaOmer is an in-between stage. It's a checkpoint in the counting of the Omer. There are 49 days, and at day 33, we have a big celebration. What are we celebrating? There are 49 days. The Gematria of a Leiv Tov is 49. Lag BaOmer is that transition to Tov. Leiv is 32, and then you have Lag BaOmer to Tov. What's Tov about Lag BaOmer? The entire Yom Tov is it's Zohar. It's light. It's fires. It's things that we don't really understand, but we have the power. We have the koyach within us to jump into that world and experience something beyond ourselves, and then actually becoming it. We can become a human being by jumping into that world and then figuring out the blueprints afterwards. Tremendous power. There's a Maisa. Rav Moshe Weinberger says a story about Rav Shach, that this Yid came to him after the war, and he was broken, as the Holocaust did to many people, and he couldn't bring himself to daven. And Rav Shach sat and listened as this man poured out his heart, and he couldn't say anything. What is there to say? He said, "You're Hasidic Yid. What Hasidus are you from?" He said, "I'm from Belzer." So Rav Shach was not known as a Baal Menagim. In fact, there's a Maisa that he said that my kids didn't become Gedolim because I didn't sing enough at my Shabbos Sudas. He wasn't a big singing and dancing type. Definitely not Hasidic. And he puts his head down and he starts humming a Belzer Niggunim. He's humming. It's quiet in the room. And he's humming. And slowly this Yid starts humming along with him. And then they start singing louder. And together they're singing. And the Shach gets up and he says, "Let's dance." And they're singing, and they're dancing, and they're singing, and they're dancing. And from this one tune, the niggin of this person who he was before the war, he rebuilt himself. And he was able to find the strength to go back to shul. Rav Shach was not a person who sang. But he jumped in, he had an explosion. He said, this is the key to this individual right here. So that's what I'm going to do. Even if I don't have the blueprints, I don't have the vav yet, I can build a hay, I can make the home first, and I'll figure out the blueprints afterwards. That is the godless of a human being, and that is what we can do over Sferes Emor, specifically on Lag BaOmer, this incredibly lofty, way beyond us Yom Tov. But that doesn't make us any less a part of it. And we'll be zeichet to reach heights that are beyond us. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter said that the only reason why he became Rabbi Yisrael Salanter is because he aimed to be Rabbi Akiva Eiger. When you aim to be Rabbi Akiva Eiger, then you can fulfill all the koiches of Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. Maybe we fulfill all our koiches and dream and aim and build beyond our technical means. Good Shabbos.